Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Uh, Grab your Bibles and turn to Genesis chapter 23. We're going to do 23 and 24 today. And without further ado, we'll just go ahead and jump right in. Chapter 23. And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah, and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose up from beside his dead, and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a sojourner and a settler among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of burial sites. None of us withholds from you his burial site, from burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed himself to the people of the land of the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me, and approach Ephron, son of Sohar, for me. And let me have the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver, as property for a burial site among you. And Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the field and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land. And he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me. I shall give the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master, listen to me. This land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Thus the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham, as a possession, in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. And after this Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave at the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. Chapter 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all he had, Please put your hand under my thigh. Real quick, side note. As I've had it explained to me and as I understand it, put your hand under my thigh is kind of a polite way of them. As I understand it, they wouldn't necessarily put their hand under the other person's thigh. They would basically place their hand on the guy's family jewels. And this was basically, you're not just swearing to me, you're also swearing to my future generations. So this was a big deal. This wasn't just a, hey, I pinky swear that I'll do this thing. No, this was a serious oath that was taking place here. So anyway, we'll start over in verse 2. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all he had, "Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Yahweh, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but to go to my land and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son Isaac." And the servant said to him, "What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came?" And Abraham said to him, "Beware, lest you take my son back there. Yahweh, Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, 'To your seed I give this land,' he sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there." Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, for all his master's good gifts were in his hand. And he arose and went to Aram Naharaim. Sorry, all the Hebrew stuff that I cannot pronounce because I am a white boy. Anyway, he rose and went to the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, "Yahweh, Elohim of my master Abraham, please cause her to meet before me this day, and show loving commitment to my master Abraham. See, I am standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, 'Please let down your jar and let me drink,' and she says, 'Drink, and let me water your camels too,' let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Isaac. And let me know by this that you have shown loving commitment to my master." And it came to be, before he had ended speaking, that see, Ribkah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her shoulder. And the young woman was very good looking, a maiden, no man having known her. And she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please, let me drink a little water from your jar." And she said, Drink, my master." And she hurried and let her jar down to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, "Let me draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking." And she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, and ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. Now, once more, we're going to pause there. And just a quick side note, again, as I've had it put to me and as I understand it. Drawing water for 10 camels is no small task. This is a lot of water, because camels can pack it away. So she was drawing water for a minute, and by the way, water is heavy. So this chick's got some guns on her. And this right here kind of illustrates a little bit of like why there is a bride price in this culture. Because when a daughter leaves her father's house and goes to be with her husband, her father's house is not just losing a daughter, in the house, they're also losing they're losing labor. And of course, women are very valuable. How do I put this? In the politically correct way, women are very precious. They are to be loved and cherished and all that. The women are far more than just labor in the house, but the fact remains that they do a lot of the labor around the house. And so again, that's why there's a bride price, as I understand it, is the bride price is going to later be used to hire a servant to take the place of the daughter that got married. Because they need somebody who is going to do the work around the house that daughter who got married was doing and is no longer doing in that house. She's now doing that work in her husband's house now. So anyway, that's how I've had it explained to me and how I understand it. I could be totally off base, but that's how I understand it. And anyway, so we'll move on. Verse 21. And watching her, the man remained silent in order to know whether Yahweh had prepared his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring, and weighing 1/2 shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists, weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, Whose daughter are you? Please inform me. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? And she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. And she said to him, We have both straw and fodder enough, and room to spend the night. And the man bowed his head and worshipped Yahweh. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh, Elohim of my master, Abraham, who has not forsaken his loving commitment, and his truth toward my master. As for me, being on the way, Yahweh led me to the house of my master's brothers. Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. And Ribekah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man to the fountain. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of his sister Ribekah, saying, Thus the man spoke to me. We'll start verse 30 over. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of his sister Ribekah, saying, Thus the man spoke to me, that he went to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. And he said, Come in, O blessed of Yahweh. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came into the house while he unloaded the camels and provided straw and fodder for the camels, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him, and set food before him to eat. But he said, Let me not eat until I have spoken my word. And he said, Speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and Yahweh has blessed my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds, and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he was. And my master made me swear, saying, Do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, What if the woman does not follow me? But he said to me, Yahweh, before whom I walk, sends his messenger with you, and shall prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Then, when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath. And this day I came to the fountain and said, Yahweh, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water. And when the young woman comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please give me a little water from your jar to drink. And she says to me, drink, and let me draw for your camels too. Let her be the woman whom Yahweh has appointed for my master's son. I had not yet ended speaking in my heart. Then see, Ribkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder. And she went down to the fountain and drew water, and I said to her, please let me drink. And she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder and said, drink, and let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. And I bowed my head and worshipped Yahweh, and blessed Yahweh, Elohim of my master Abraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brothers. I'll back up there. Who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you are going to show loving commitment and truth to my master, let me know, and if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answered Bethuel too, and said, The matter comes from Yahweh. We are not able to speak to you either evil or good. See, Ribkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahweh has spoken. And it came to be, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself toward the earth before Yahweh. And the servant brought out ornaments and silver, and ornaments of gold, and garments, and gave them to Ribkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank, and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, Let me go to my master. But her brother and her mother said, Let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he said to them, Do not delay me, since Yahweh has prospered my way. Let me go so that I go to my master. And they said, Let us call the young woman and ask her. So they called Ribkah and said to her, Are you going with this man? And she said, I shall go. So they let go Ribkah their sister and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Ribkah and said to her, Let our sister become the mother of thousands, of 10,000s. And let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. And Ribkah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Ribkah and left. And Isaac came from the way of Be'er Lahai Roi, and he dwelt in the south. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field in the evening. And he lifted his eyes, and looked, and saw the camels coming. And Ribkah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from her camel. And she had said to the servant, Who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, It is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the matters he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Ribekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. And that is chapter 24, and we will pick it up again in the next one. Thanks for watching.